love pickles. My mother makes me eat them. I'm crazy about them. I'll sell you my pickle for a nickel. How about 2 cents? Okay. I have 2 pickles, I have 2 pickles, I have 2 pickles today. Hey, hey.
Oh, hey there, partner. It's great to see you. Porky and Buckwheat here have very different feelings about pickles. But instead of fighting about it, they compromise and find this win-win solution. That's incredible because humans are notoriously bad at talking about things that we dislike. Take Bert and Ernie, for example. We were all at this barbecue potluck for the 4th of July when I overheard them have a conversation about a pickle too. Here, let's rewind the tape.
Hey there, Ernie. Are you enjoying the barbecue?
Oh, hey there, Bert. Yeah, I've got my burger and some potato salad and some corn and
Ernie, what is that?
You mean my pickle?
Ew. Pickles are disgusting.
No, they're not, Bert. They're delicious.
Well, I've never met a pickle that I've ever liked.
You know, Bert, it's just an acquired taste.
Well, keep your distance. I don't want to catch whatever you've acquired.
So then you don't like it when I do this?
Ernie, stop. You're not my partner anymore, buddy.
Well, then I guess you're not my buddy anymore, friend.
Fine, then I guess you're not my friend anymore, pal.
Terrific, because you're not my pal anymore, partner. I get it, Bert. You don't like pickles, but that's just because you don't understand them.
I hate pickles because they are nasty, and they're ruining America.
Oh, Bert.
What is Bert talking about? Is this some new QAnon conspiracy theory? Picklegate? Did some GMO pickles escape from a lab somewhere and are now rioting in the streets? Or buying up all of our affordable housing? Or spreading fake news on the internet, partner? No, right? Bert was just joking. But still, those words were so provocative. They kept echoing in my mind.
They're ruining America.
So I went online and I found this. The second definition of a pickle is a difficult situation with no way out. So are you thinking what I'm thinking, partner? What if this divisive argument that they just had is a metaphorical pickle? A trap, and they got stuck because they just couldn't agree on the basic facts of reality. And if this type of argument is common, then maybe Bert was right. So let's do an autopsy on this failed conversation and see if we can look for clues as to what went wrong. And maybe we can warn America if we should uncover some hidden threat. So the first thing that I noticed was that Bert had this automatic emotional reaction to the sight of the pickle.
Ow.
Like a gag reflex. So what is that? Is that like a survival instinct? Right? Like recoiling from a hot surface or running away from a snake? Let's imagine that we're a benevolent god with computer hacking skills and we want to program this cat for survival. We know some snakes pose a life or death threat, but there are too many snakes to write rules for each one, so we write a general rule instead. If object equals long and cylindrical, then fight or flight. Nature's way of saying treat every gun as if it's loaded. And that's great most of the time, but there's a problem, because not all snakes are dangerous, and some of them aren't even snakes.
Whoa, 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 I know what it looks like to you as eat, but I'm not a snake. I've seen the YouTube videos. I know cats are scared of cucumbers and pickles because they think they're snakes. I'm not a snake. I'm a pickle. I'm a pickle.
So this is known as a false positive. And just like this cat, I think that Bert overreacted to the situation. So let's write that down.
You know, if you want to stuff your face full of disgusting pickles in the privacy of your own home, God bless you. I don't mean to be judgmental, but people are trying to eat here.
What happened happened next? Bert made a value judgment,
Pickles are disgusting.
which could indicate that he has confused subjective and objective reality. The evidence is in his language. Compare what he said, pickles are disgusting, to these similar statements. Pickles are green, pickles are salty, and pickles are juicy. These adjectives all map onto some objective quality of the pickle. They're green because they reflect a certain wavelength of light. They're salty because they contain sodium chloride, and they're juicy because they have water. But where does disgusting live inside of a pickle? Nowhere. That refers to his subjective relationship to it. Why the confusion? Well, let's put ourselves in Bert's shoes. To him, seeing that pickle must have been like seeing a dirty diaper, right? He didn't choose to be repulsed by it. He had the subjective experience of being pushed away. And the intuitive explanation, there's something objectively bad in the pickle, right? An inherent evil. And he demonizes it. So let's write that down as our second clue.
You know, it's funny, because I don't even like pickles that much. And suddenly I became their biggest fan and defender. Maybe just to prove Bert wrong, because it felt like he was attacking me.
So how did Ernie respond? Predictably, he pushes back.
No, they're not, Bert. They're delicious.
After all, if pickles are objectively disgusting, what does that say about his decision to put one on his plate next to perfectly good food? But in defending his honor, he makes the same mistake. Because pickles aren't objectively delicious either.
It's a trap!
And now that the two of them have locked horns, arguing about their subjective feelings as if it were a property of objective reality, they really are stuck with no way out. And they will likely resent each other for being there.
You're not my partner anymore, buddy.
Remember, this argument will become an emotionally charged memory. And all of these feelings of disgust and frustration and anger and the insults and the bad juju of the moment will become associated with one another. Now, since they're good friends, it's no big deal, right? They'll probably just avoid talking about pickles. But imagine this is someone that you've only just met, or you're messaging anonymously with someone on the Pickle subreddit. Well, now your relationship is dead on arrival. And further information sharing is pointless because now you're enemies. End of story. So I think our third clue should be polarization.
Oh, come on. Aren't you overanalyzing this? It was entertaining. We did the whole Ocean's 11 bit, and it's not like we unfriended each other on Facebook. What's the big deal?
Partner, the big deal is that being stuck in black and white means they missed an opportunity to talk shades of green. I generally like pickles, but not with my cereal for breakfast or my chocolate cake for dessert. So I think the only relevant question is, in what context do pickles have value? And if Bert was a little less reactive and a little more curious, he could have found out.
I really enjoy a pickle after having a fatty, greasy burger because the acid cleanses the palate. Wow, I sound like a real pickle snob.
Partner, do you realize that before refrigerators, pickling was a key innovation that allowed us to preserve a whole new class of foods and explore further without having to worry about entire crews dying from scurvy? So I think sharing information is much more entertaining than insulting one another for no reason, right? So let's recap. We all respond automatically to threats. It's a survival instinct. Only sometimes it's a false alarm and we overreact. Only we don't know it because being repelled by something feels like proof of its guilt, so we demonize. And those that feel differently push back, leading to polarization. And as a consequence, we end up ignoring context and creating enemies.
That's a real pickle.
And now that we have this framework, does it apply more generally to more consequential discussions? How deeply has this pickle threat penetrated our society? Ew. Gross. What other things are we bad at talking about? I've heard Bert and Ernie get into a number of other pickles. Music?
Ah! Ernie, would you turn that down? Heavy metal isn't music, it's noise.
Are you crazy, Bert? It rocks.
Fashion?
Egad, Bert! What are you wearing? A real man would never wear skinny jeans.
Oh yeah? Well, the ladies love them.
And technology?
Oh God! Ernie, would you put that controller down? Video games make kids violent.
Fatality.
No, they don't, Bert. I wouldn't hurt a fly.
A partner? Let's raise the stakes. What if all of our hot-button political issues are giant pickles, casting an ominous shadow over society? Guns, drugs, immigration, abortion, vaccines, what do they all have in common? Well, they all pose a credible threat to large groups of people. And in some contexts, right, those threats are totally justified, and we should be worried. But what about the false positives? Do we overreact in the face of fear? Do we tend to get stuck in this black and white thinking and fight, right, over the demons and angels of our subjective world and ignore context and ignore reality altogether? And does this irresolvable conflict cause us to mistake one another for enemies? So, in my mind, the biggest threat to America is the human mind, right? And its general inability to talk about things that it dislikes rationally. So how do we deal with that? In order to avoid getting stuck in a pickle, we need to be less reactive, which means we need to build a tolerance, which means we need to buck our intuition and move toward the things that push us away. Cast your mind back to your childhood dining table. Chances are you probably hated bitter or sour foods like broccoli or pickles. But did your parents acquiesce to your childish demands for nothing but mountains of sugar? Of course not, because they knew what scientific studies have verified, that after a number of exposures, around 8 to 15 according to some studies, most children begin to tolerate and even enjoy novel flavors that they used to hate. This is called the mere exposure effect. And it means that our preferences shift and adapt to our environment. So the process of acquiring a taste is really the slow process of teaching our bodies that something unknown is not dangerous. And not just for food, but for everything new. Music, fashion, technology, people, and even ideas. So I think we have this incomplete saying that goes, you don't know if you like something until you try it. Maybe we should amend that. So this doesn't always work. Remember, genetics play a role too. And I'm not saying we have to like everything. That's impossible. We just need to build a culture where whenever we have a strong negative reaction to something, we all pause and we ask ourselves honestly, does my current dislike indicate a real threat or my own lack of experience? Now, a lot of people don't know about the mere exposure effect, partner. Do you think this knowledge alone could help to make us a little more humble and a little more tolerant of the different people and ideas around us? Partner, America is a melting pot, and diversity is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it prevents groupthink and gives us a competitive advantage in the marketplace of ideas. On the other, it gives us ample opportunities to get spooked by things that we are unfamiliar with. So here's the situation as I see it. We're all at a potluck barbecue, celebrating the 4th of July. And many of the things that people have brought to the table look weird, disgusting, or downright dangerous. Like this plate of pickles. But our parents are no longer here to force us to try new things because we're adults. So I think we need to start acting like it and start eating these pickles before they ruin America. So tell me in the comments section, what's something you think we need to get better at talking about? And I'll see you next time, partner, on The Joy of Thinking. Not sure this really goes well with my Earl Grey. Oh, no, it's not too bad.